Hey.
Wow, that was loud. Oh, I can still hear it in the background. I can still hear it in the background. Oh, there we go. Maybe it's me. Maybe
that intro gives me the horn when the double drums start coming in. Gives me the horn.
It's a little bit loud. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome back to the Rock and Roll Rowdies. Hope you're all having a great morning. Good hello, gentlemen, and good evening to some of you.
Good evening to me.
Hey, how is everybody?
It's just going dark here in UK.
Yeah.
Just going more grey.
It's going more grey. Yes, it's not going from sunlight to dark. It's just going deeper grey.
Well, it's a great day because in LA it's grey. They're expecting rain.
In LA, we're on storm watch.
Storm watch.
Rain. Storm watch.
Title for a
digital,
band.
We have the digital weather.
What a great name for a band, Storm Watch.
Yeah.
Probably been done. It's probably been done already. So yes, well, so gentlemen, it's good to see you again. I know this is kind of an unscheduled show, but the last one we did 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago? We actually were very, very pleased on the Rowdies channel. A lot of new subscribers and a lot of people watching that show. So thank you everyone who did that, and just thought we'd throw another, because we only do an hour, so we're talking about some great memories and then we kind of stop. But there's more to talk about, so we want to just keep expanding on those.
Let's hope I don't jinx it by showing up this time.
Oh yeah, that's right, you didn't.
I wasn't here last time. I was on my ass.
You were sick as a dog.
Don't know what it was. No symptoms, just had pressure in my head and I just couldn't function. I was in bed for 2 days, 2.5 days.
Which dog was it that you were sick on?
Hush. I love animals really a lot.
But be careful with that, because that's still illegal even in California, I think.
I don't know. They don't enforce any other laws. Why should that be illegal?
So be careful how much you love animals. I mean, sheep are okay. But...
sheep. Well, sheep expect it.
So I'm glad that you're back and doing well, and we've got lots, because there's lots of stuff that we want to talk about that you did, and I wanted to share. I hope you guys don't mind me opening with this, but Granny, you shared a photograph with me of a very very famous event in British rock history. Tell us a little bit about this and this photograph.
Well, being a train spotter, I can give you the date: April the 29th, 1967. Wow. I hitchhiked from Hartlepool. This is before I was a roadie, and I only had a little bit of interest in bands. I wasn't particularly, I was more into train spotting. Like if I had money, I'd go train spotting. But this mate of mine said, why don't we hitchhike to London? We can watch steam trains in the morning out of Waterloo Station, and then in the afternoon we go up to Alexandra Palace, and they're having an all-night psychedelic concert. It was legendary, a 14-hour Technicolor dream. And this picture was of the band Tomorrow, My White Bicycle. You got Steve Howe on the guitar. Came on later on with Yes and others. Asia, Keith West vocals, and that's Twink with the top hat.
Yeah, the man whose name was a hostage to the future in Twink.
Okay.
Anyway, we won't go into that term, but Twink with the top hat. Lots of gear behind them. I mean, what is that about?
Well, each band, I mean, like I said, but looking back at the photographs, now I know what things are. There's like a PA amp, and everybody shared the same equipment. There was 2 stages, one at either end of the hall, with a very simple pipe and drape backdrop. It was all very low tech. There's all kinds of light show stuff going on. And that's the great organ in the background on the back of the picture. Oh. Everybody's climbing up and down the scaffolding. And of course, I did it too. I took a picture from the top looking down. They had a kind of a fairground slide in the hall. It was like psychedelic London style. People were smoking bananas.
That's a real organ in the background.
That's a real organ, yeah.
All right, well, so but for those who might not be aware of Tomorrow, and you mentioned their big hit, My White Bicycle, Steve Howe on guitar, obviously, to this day, still obviously famous for being Yes's guitarist, or one of them, but obviously through a main part of their career, he was the guitar player.
Yeah.
It
was an interesting lineup. Like I said, I didn't really know much about any of the bands. It was all the London underground scene, and they really made it up to Teesside where we lived.
Well, when you look at the list of people who were playing, there was Arthur Brown,
Well, the picture of him,
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Well, my film ran out before the Pink Floyd came on.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any pictures of them.
Soft Machine, The Move.
The Soft Machine were a big impact on me. I'd never heard of them, and they were just incredible. You'd have to hear the first album. There's like a bootleg out of a gig at the an underground club in London, Covent Garden, and it's raw sound. It's incredible.
And yeah, it was quite the lineup. Beyond that, The Move, The Pretty Things.
Yeah, I think some of them didn't make it. You got to, when you look at the posters and stuff, a lot of bands didn't make it because it was to bail out the International Times. It was a fundraiser, and loads of people got in for nothing. Right. Some of the bands backed out, but there was Savoy Brown Blues Band, Champion Jack Dupree, a blues guy, a lot of up and coming bands.
Yeah, apparently Yoko Ono performed. Were you there for that?
She was there supposedly. I mean, I stood by the stage most of the time. I was like just taking in the whole vibe. I wasn't participating in much of anything else, but it was interesting.
Just like to say hello to my buddy Tim.
I saw that band at Torquay Town Hall back in the late 60s.
Yeah,
they showed up instead of Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd were advertised to play, and Tomorrow actually played. But they were good.
Did anybody know the difference?
Well, not a lot. Not until about halfway through the show, when the rumors started going through that that's not Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. They said this is some interesting new material by Pink Floyd.
Well, the funny thing was that there was a music press, the New Musical Express, the Melody Maker, but you wouldn't know it. I saw the Soft Machine and never saw them again for a year. And I couldn't figure out who they were, anything about them. There was nothing online. There was no fan magazine coverage. And so I heard they were from Canterbury. And then this band called Caravan came out, and they had a blonde drummer. That must be the same band. And it was ages before I figured out who was who.
I love Caravan. Yeah. Great band.
I forgot the first single.
Yeah. That might be worth something then.
I've got a place of my own where I can go when I'm feeling down, man. Yeah. So this is a good scene. I love that scene, but it was 6 months before I even became a roadie. So it didn't even spark me up for looking at the equipment particularly.
Well, you weren't living in London yet then, though. You just
we hitchhiked from Hartlepool.
Wow.
Is that how we got back? I must have hitchhiked back. I don't remember.
Up the A1.
I was high on banana skins.
That's right.
Up the Caravan A1 is still going. I saw them recently at a festival that we did not 6 months ago.
One of the main guys died, though. I think
they were really nice.
Yeah, well, speaking of deaths, sadly, in the last few days, we lost Joey Molland of Badfinger, the last remaining main original member of Badfinger.
Tragic history, that band. Our friend Renata, her sister's married to one of them. Was married to him. Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very sad. I'm a huge Badfinger fan. I mean, when I was they came to prominence when I was 6-7 years old, so I absolutely adore all that material. I've got a lot of their vinyl albums. Just very undervalued band, and very tragic, as you say. Yeah. You know, everyone knows the Nielsen Without You, but of course it's Pete Ham and Tom Evans that wrote it, and sad. But yeah, Joey Molland managed to, well, he was 75, but he managed to survive some of the other tragedy of the band, and at least so R.I.P. Joey, and thank you for all the great Badfinger music. As I say, undervalued band, probably a victim of Apple. Being on Apple was a double-edged sword.
Yeah. You couldn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, and of course Apple started to descend into chaos because of the Beatles breakups, and they stopped paying attention to the bands they had signed and promoting them. So anyway, R.I.P. to him. This we did do a show some time ago about some of the iconic venues. This is the Alexandra Palace, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, up on the hill. Yeah, it's had several fires over the years, so they might have remodeled the roof.
Yeah,
that's a modern picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a model. No,
the thing was, we went to buy our tickets in a little record shop in Soho. This tiny little grubby little shop, and then making our way up on the bus up to Hampstead to a Highgate to go up the hill to the event, and you were following. It's like a mini Woodstock. You were following all these kind of alternative hippie types coming up the hill and going to the gig. It was quite special. We're from Hartlepool, rough as fuck, you know, And
it would be an eye opener, that, yes. Apparently, there is
brilliant.
an ice rink there now. Okay.
Yeah.
I met Mr. Mark Emery there in 1972 when I turned up with a couple of the guys, and he was with Wishbone Ash, and they were gigging there.
Yeah.
So to walk in, I think I carried 2 guitars in, but it was the first time I met Mr. Emery.
It was easy to get into.
I think that picture, Brian, I think is of the concert hall, which was separate to where the event was. The event was just a big empty cavern.
Just a shed. It was just in a big shed,
yeah.
Big Victorian thing, you know.
Yeah,
well, I think rock and roll saved that place from just falling down, didn't it? Pretty much. I mean, okay, it's an ice rink now, but
yeah,
it's been, but at that time it was like the only thing that was going on there was rock and roll.
Didn't the BBC used to use it for broadcasting?
You can see there from the big tower.
It's the highest point in London.
Yeah,
that I didn't know. Yeah,
TV relay. Yeah.
There's the tower right there.
Of course, on that night, it was the highest point in London.
That's right. This sort of big cloud coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, an iconic venue.
But for me, I was 18, just turned 18, and literally trains in the morning, psychedelic at night. It's like the road was beginning to fork for me, and it was just an incredible event.
Trains in the morning. Trains in the morning.
Trains in the morning. Banana skin joints at night.
Wait a minute. So you mean this kid?
Yeah, I was about 16 then. Look at that Beatle cut.
I love it.
That kid. Oh, look, this is even better.
Oh yeah.
Before
and after.
1 year difference. This is the era that you lived in, you guys.
Oh, incredible. Yeah, so that would have been the same year as when I went to the Technicolor Dream. That would be me on the left with a Beatle with a mod cut.
Yeah.
I never had haircuts. It was only Mal and Smiler made me have haircuts. That would have been just hairy. I've never been into style,
This one here.
That's it.
You've got smoke coming out of your ass in this one.
We had a curry the night before.
And then this one.
Yeah, that's we got to track Spike down. That's the guy on the floor. He was a nutcase from Birmingham, speed freak.
I just love these pictures because, as you say, 2 years before you were like clean cut school kids, and then
literally, literally overnight for me. Mal always had a bit of savvy. Mal was always a bit of a mod, and all the women loved him and stuff. I was just a train spotter. Then I turned into a roadie.
Yeah. Well, this
what a combination.
You sent a lot of great. So actually, sorry, I should have. This is where you guys are from, Hartlepool.
There you go.
Red carbuncle.
Hartlepool.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Wilgo's from Wagga. I'm from the old original Hartlepool.
North Allerton. That was an Air Force base.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of them up there.
Yeah, and then this is Hartlepool. Park Road, apparently.
Ford Corsair.
Yeah, that's York Road or Leinster. York Road, I think. They're the petrol station.
Yeah,
there's two petrol stations. Look, there's a Shell, and then a National.
That's the Shell.
There's the National, yeah. I'm just showing these because you weren't here last time, so I didn't really show them, but just to show everybody where you guys come from.
That was a great little cinema. Gone now, of course.
ABC Stockton.
No, that's in Hartlepool.
Oh, it's in Hartlepool.
That's the one that's next to the football ground.
And I'm trying to read the poster there.
Oh yeah, keep going.
I can't read it.
Something frenzy.
Something
frenzy, yeah. Something FRE anyway.
The reason it's important is this is the Manfred Mann Yardbirds show that you
well, this was even earlier. This was it's November 1965.
Yeah.
And Smiler and I, he got me to go, and it was like the Marquee on tour. I don't think Charlie and Inez Fox actually made it on the show, but it was the Manfred Mann, the Yardbirds, basically bands you would see at the Marquee, and they did 2 shows a night. This was the first night of the tour, like the warm-up gig. I've looked into it since. I've got pictures of all of this: the Manfred Mann, Yardbirds, Paul and Barry Ryan. I've got very, very low-res photographs. There you go.
Yeah, so
I sent you all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff because it's pre-roadie days, but this is how you guys got into music. This is where you got into it.
Well, this was a
going-
package tour. This was like the last remnants, and they would have all the bands would, like Mark Lehman 5 provided the back line, I think, and maybe Jeff Beck brought his own guitar amp. But bands would just walk on and off, do 20 minutes, and the equipment just stayed there. There was nothing to see. All this scaffolding and stuff was by a guy called Ian Knight, who went on to be a big time producer. But it was very primitive. Look, just lights bolted onto scaffolding and. Yeah, that's Jeff Beck and Keith Ralph. That's the Yardbirds. That's a picture I took from the balcony with a cheap little camera. And all these years later, you can get a recognizable picture out of it.
I want to show this, which is Tim just sent
The ice
me.
rink.
This is the ice rink now in the alley valley.
That's the concert hall side, yeah.
Yeah,
That's not the side the event was at.
indeed. But that's what it looks like now. But was that the first gig you'd been to, Granny? The first?
I've only been to a couple. There was a couple of dances near the youth club where I used to live. And then I won a ticket to a gig in Newcastle. We took from the youth club. I won a ticket to go and see the Undertakers.
Oh, wow.
And I remember they started the show in their coffins. It's like Spinal Tap.
Now, was that Richie Blackmore, or am I getting
Might
it
have
wrong?
been, but I was totally oblivious. I mean, I was 16. I had no idea what was going on. It didn't do anything to me. It was a free ticket, you know.
The
didn't
Undertakers.
spark anything.
Jackie Lomax was in the Undertakers.
Jackie,
yeah, he was
Jackie
in
lived out here in LA. Jackie was a bit of a lad in the Cat and Fiddle pub on Sunset.
Yeah, because he was on Apple Records too. Jackie.
Oh,
Lomax. I've got a couple of his singles.
You know, it's sort of a funny end, not funny ending, but he went home on a holiday to Liverpool and died there. Perfect.
Well, isn't that whatever?
Is that the way to go? You go on holiday and you go back to your hometown and pop your clogs while you're there?
But isn't that just the Liverpool effect? I mean,
yeah, maybe it might have been the flu.
It's like, I went to Liverpool and all. He's in the Undertakers. I went to Liverpool and all I got was this lousy coffin. Is the
you know what I remember about Jackie Lomax? Besides the music and all that, he had these big eyebrows. He cultivated these big fucking eyebrows towards the end. You know, like old guys do.
Like David Hemmings, the David Hemmings effect. David, you remember the actor?
Yeah. But he was an interesting bloke. You know, he had presence, but he obviously must have pissed him off. He didn't quite crack it. But,
yeah, so that was some of your early gig going stuff. I mean, Wilco, what do you recall about early gigs that you may have attended pre-roadie days, of course?
For me?
Yeah.
No, I think
you.
The Rink.
Pay attention.
The Rink all the time.
You what? Hey, now you're frozen.
My medication. In Hartlepool, there was a big gig called the Rink, and it was tough as F. I mean, it was mental. So, of course, I was running with the Wagga lads and the Bellevue boys. So we just you walk in there, and it was just a big circle in the stage. And I remember the Tremolos was playing one night. Didn't care about them. I knew they were on top of the pops a lot. And we just walk around looking for people to beat up. You know, that's what we went there for. Manfred Mann I saw there.
Of course, you went to work.
But the hoses turned on him. The Mojos had to leave the stage because somebody turned a fire hose on him.
Well, one of the band members from Manfred Mann was checking this old boiler out, and meaning a chick, a girl, and anyway, he actually stopped playing, and he got off stage and walked up to her and said something, and she just looked down and got on his plane away there. There it is. And anyway, the boyfriend of this girl just jumped on stage and dragged this guy off and beat the crap out of him. I think it was the bass player. I'm not quite sure. You know, but that was a tough place. And that's right by the Hartlepool football ground. You can see that.
Don't forget, our mate Bill Collier got up to play with the Jeff Beck group because somebody got electrocuted. And they needed Ronnie. I guess Ronnie Wood got a shock. And they needed someone to play bass. And Bill got up and went in the dressing room with them. Oh, can you imagine Bill and Jeff Beck together? And Bill picked up Jeff Beck's guitar and was playing. Oh, you got funny action here, Jeff. He's telling Jeff Beck about how he should set his guitar up. He busts strings before they go on. And there's something wrong with that.
Hello to Carson Lizard, by the way.
I'll do a quick shout out there for Carsten Lizard Schultz. He's in German agent.
Oh, no.
Good to see you, Carson. Yeah.
And he's
watching. So that's the Rink. So that's the Rink. There's lots of other pictures online. Oh, there you go. See, that's you That would be you guys dancing.
I never went there. I was too scared to go.
I can see Granny in the background right there. That's like the scene out of The Shining when
that's a great shot.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
I have a diary, and for things to do, there was nothing to do in Hartlepool. There is absolutely nothing where we lived. We would see how far we dared walk into West Hartlepool. And one night we walked past the Rink. And I've got it in my diary in capital letters. We walked past the Rink and survived. It's in my diary. I wouldn't go inside there for anything.
Yeah, it's
fascinating. I mean, I still am. I'm not a fucking.
Yeah, I mean, Hartlepool back in those days, it was just rough as hell. I mean, I used to just go there for the fights, not the bands, you know. And outside, just people hitting people across the head with bricks and clemmies and dustbin lids, and it was just mental. I remember this guy who ran, the bouncer had this guy, he ran him out, he threw him off the stairs, and this guy bounced off a bus going by. And he laid there for about an hour before people were like, "Oh, you're okay, man." It was a tough place to go.
There's probably gigs in Glasgow like that as well, you know.
The Glasgow ballroom scene must have been lethal. Yeah, I mean, brutal. But then that's it, especially in the 60s when you still had the mods and rockers thing going on. So it was just like all-out war, I guess. In some,
you know, when I was at the Tremolos, 73, I was talking to the guys, and I was like, "So what was the worst place you ever went?" And Dave Munden, who was the drummer, was big. He goes, "Didn't like to go to Glasgow. Didn't like to go to Scotland.
If they didn't like you."
Yeah, he goes, "We just like didn't look at any woman, any chick, nothing. We just played, got off, got the money, and ran." You know, was it the Gobbles?
The Gorbles. The Gorbles. That would be that's
the Razor King.
Even me growing up as a kid in Edinburgh, the Gorbles was infamous. That was it was like the worst of the worst. But of course, you guys
girls used to carry the razor blades for the teddy boys they'd give them the razor blades. They'd have a fight with fashion. Then they'd hide the razor blades back in the girlfriend's handbags.
Oh. Hang on, there we go. The Apollo, of course, is the famous one that you guys have lots of stories about.
Oh yeah,
I've got a plaque from the Average White Band at the Apollo.
Yeah, I think I've got that picture. I got that picture somewhere. We'll pull it up in a minute. But yeah, the Apollo exterior and interior.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Oh, my skin's crawling.
You should try mixing sound from up there on the balcony.
Yeah,
especially as it's going up and down 2 or 3 feet.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it was fill the beer over the desk, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what
that happened to me at the Marquee Club, but not at the Apollo.
Is that the desk there? Is that it there?
Yeah, that's the desk.
Yeah.
I wonder what band that is. There's a prize for anyone that shout out to anyone who can name that band. I don't know who it is either.
Well, they've got monitors, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's got to be the 70s.
2 guitars and a bass. Looks like some kind of mod glam band, maybe. I don't know. But
it's probably Wishbone Ash.
It could be Wishbone Ash. Could be. Mark's actually.
There's Mark right up at the mixing board.
Yeah.
That would be funny if Mark was up at the desk in this picture.
Yeah, well be.
Yeah, but the Apollo, that's I wanted to show you this before we go away from the Rink. This is I looked up the Rink Hartlepool, and this picture came up of a band, and I've no idea who they are.
Well, I like the picture in the background.
Well, indeed. Yeah. It's a picture of a broad on a couch, as Dan Aykroyd would say.
That's what the name of the band is.
Yeah, it looks like a little congas. Like that's like a real middle of the road pre-beat group.
I like the guy at the bottom right. He's about 30 years older than the rest of.
He probably owned a van. Like Bill Wyman, he only got the gig because he had a van or equipment.
But anybody that's watching this and knows who this band is, leave it in the. Tell us in the comments.
There'll be somebody on there's a couple of websites in Hartlepool. Somebody will know. Stan Laundon has probably got them on his. Email that to me, Brian. Email it to me, and if you really want to know, I can find out.
Yeah, these are just me searching. It is actually from Stan Laundon's site.
There you go. Stan has all that.
So we're going to give credit. These are obviously probably even copyrighted. So
this is probably the best website I've seen on anything. Not just bands and stuff. It's postcards and unbelievable website.
Yeah. So I'll just give a shout out to Stan then. And
together with Stan when I go to the old down the headland, we call it. He lives down on Old Hartlepool headland.
I've put a link
Oh,
in
he's still living there.
Oh yeah, he's lived there. He went to live in Spain for a while when he was a radio presenter on Radio Cleveland. He connected to Joe Brown and the Brothers.
Joe, love Joe.
He would be an interesting guy to get on if we, Northern lad.
Why not?
Yeah.
Get in touch with him, Granny.
I'm in touch with him all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic site here. Yeah, I mean,
It's a brilliant site.
Brilliant stuff.
I've got a lot of stuff on it, bands and shite that I've taken.
Yeah, so shout out to Stan.
Yeah.
And you've talked to him, Granny. See if you guys want to get him on for a chat.
Oh,
he's got all the bands listed on his site that played in Hartlepool. So.
The engine.
The thing is, we get Stan talking, we'll just put up our feet up because he can talk me and Wilco to sleep, believe me.
KT's engine.
Engine. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I think Besh took that picture. Look at Alan's got his American Indian look going.
Yeah, so credit to Stan Laundon for putting these photos up, and he maybe even took a whole load of them. I don't know, but Les Taylor, Dave Usher, Alan Place, and
even those are the Forest Wampra Studio.
Pete Rutter's mentioned there.
Yeah. He was a singer.
So Hartlepool had stuff going on.
Yeah, we got out. That was taken in London.
Yeah, stuff was going on. Hartlepool. I'm going to find that picture of while you guys are talking. I'm going to look for Wilco's picture of him in the Glasgow Apollo Average White Band. So just keep chatting, guys. What do you want to talk about? Your show.
So Granny, try to get in touch with. I know she's not going to respond, so we could try to find Solly because he's the only missing link of the whole Hartlepool connection.
3 years ago, I saw a Facebook page of him and Kathy, and then I've never seen it. I can't find it now. I don't know. I can't find anywhere to reach him.
What was the last name? Paylor?
Paylor, Pailor, I think. Oh yeah, there's your reward.
That's the Edinburgh Odeon, which is a venue I've been in many times.
Right.
I don't have one for the Apollo I can find.
We can get a picture. We can get a better thing on that. It's got your reflection in it.
Edinburgh Odeon was much more.
I have one of them. That's one of the few.
Yeah, but it was about me.
Much more sedate than the Glasgow Apollo.
I remember that gig because it was a huge, ancient, old building, and there was all these like street urchins milling around. You had to watch; they wouldn't nick the gear.
The Odeon was an old theatre, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember they had these big bathtubs, and in the afternoon we set the gear up, and I'm like probably a bit stoned, relaxing in the bath, and I heard the band. The band showed up. I could hear them bang, bang, bang on the drums. I'm like, oh fuck! So I was high as a kite, floating in this huge bathtub, probably coked up.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but did we record that? Do a video of that? Record that show? Because I remember Hamish in one of the gigs in Scotland, and maybe that's the one it was. And he was like, he put his hand in when the show was just finishing to touch the fans. And I just ran on stage and grabbed him, and these three guys were trying to pull Hamish off stage.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, he nearly went off stage, and I just pulled him back.
Oh, no.
And I was like, "What do you think you're doing?" It was. I didn't like going to Scotland because back in those days because of the argy bargy, if you know what I mean.
There's Edinburgh Odeon. That's showing Escape from New York. It was a cinema too. Like a lot of these places were cinemas, and they had gigs. First time I saw the Who in 1979 was at the Edinburgh Odeon.
We had a lighting guy that had retired, and he'd opened up a vegetarian food shop and market in Edinburgh. He was a bit of a head. We called them heads back then. And he told us about how you could get magic mushrooms in the main gardens in Princess Street.
Oh, God, yeah.
And used to go down there munching between gigs, munching on the mushrooms. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
You wanted your mushrooms, Mr. Grange.
Oh, I did then, but I didn't like smoking. So I like the mushrooms, yeah.
So the Scottish gigs were challenging for you, Wilco?
Yeah, even with the tremolos, I went in there and just did them and got out, and I remember we did a couple with the Average White Band, and the audiences were just going mental. You didn't know which way they were going to go. I mean, they were all hanging out with you, like, yeah, all right, mate, and all that. But it was just like one of those looking over your shoulder type guy.
You got to climb up.
Well, they're going to take the mic off stage and beat the crap out of me, you know.
I used to have a problem, dealing with like Scottish customs and immigration. That was always a hassle. You get up the A68, have to stop in the middle of the heather, unload all the gear for the Scottish customs. Do you remember?
We had a Scottish customs. It wasn't that bad. I don't recall that. I don't recall ever that.
That must have been the mushrooms. That must have been on mushrooms.
There might have been a sign at the border saying "Welcome to Scotland."
Or
big sign, halt the new.
Unless you're English, in which case, F off.
Yeah, turn around now.
You're not allowed in.
Yeah, that's pretty. I've been up and down that A68 a few times. It's quite remote up there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's some nice flocks of sheep. There's nice flocks of sheep up there.
Keep you warm at night.
Yeah, sorry. While I was on the average white one, this is another one you sent, Wilco, of your gold disc.
I got all mine. I think I told you all before. I got all mine stolen. My platinum. Everything. I had about 15 of these things, and this guy left his truck on the farm, and of course I was on tour and never came back for about 4 years. And I came back, and the state of Connecticut just said no more trucks on your property if it's not registered. So they took his truck, full of his belongings, and crushed it. So he just walked in one day and took all the albums off the wall.
Have you still got this one though?
I've still got that one. Yeah, I've already got one. Oh, my daughter Kate's got one in New York. I gave her one. But back to Scotland, it's. I remember doing gigs, and one night we were going to Galashiels and taking Alan and Ollie home.
Love it.
And it was after the gig, and it was like 5 of us in the truck. Remember the big blue truck I drove?
The 5-tonner.
Yes, it was a 3-tonner. And just like I was like this, and we're going over the one of these mountains and stuff, and we see this guy with his fishing rod, drunk as a bastard he was, and he had a bottle of whiskey, and it must have been 1 a.m. So we just pulled up next to him, and he just looked, and he went, "What you doing?" And it was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going fishing." He was absolutely mullered, and he gave us the whiskey, and we all looked at each other and went, "See ya," and just drove off. Well, it took me like 4 hours. It was all foggy.
That's what it's easy to catch the fish. They're asleep, so you catch them easier.
He was funny as hell, And then he did a U-turn and started walking the other way. I don't think he had any idea where he was,
I mean, there's a lot in those days. Bands were still doing the complete circuit in Britain, where they'd go right up to the north of Scotland, right to the extremities of England, Wales, whatever. Did you ever go right up to like Wick or Thurso or any of these places up in the north?
Furthest north I got was Aberdeen.
All right, well, it's not
the average white band. Before that, when I was with the legendary Gnidrolog, we did a one-nighter in Stirling.
Stirling's a great city, though.
I know it is. We went all the way from London to Stirling and back.
One night. Yeah, for one night. Where were you, Mark? What's the most extreme place you've been in the UK?
The most extreme? Well, we're going up to Kinross. That's as far north we go.
All right.
Coming up to Kinross and Glasgow.
Five, really. It's not that far north.
We've done Aberdeen. I think that's about as far
even
north.
The Beatles played further north than that. They played in Elgin and Nairn and all these places.
Probably, yeah. Little challenge for you: find out about a venue, Torquay Town Hall, in the 1960s, and see if you can find out there.
Well,
that's where I got my sort of christening in music.
Well, I'm going to look it up. Yeah, but there's just while you're doing that, I'll show you this picture. Who is that? Well, I'm looking that up.
I can tell you the date.
Yeah.
That's October 1966.
Really?
Yeah. There's another companion picture of Smiler. So I remember, that's my combat jacket.
Oh, yeah.
60s, very 60s.
So
who was that? Was he Rowdies?
That's me.
That's you.
That's cringe.
I was 17.
But then it turned into this monster.
No, that's Wilkie.
That's Wilco. Sorry.
Look, Wilco with his fucking faggoty Freddie Mercury mustache.
Yeah, I was thinking of
that's me.
Sorry, this is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, not the one, the Wilco one. This one. Right. I get.
I love all the old cars in these photos.
No. We were going to Richmond Park, just in London. This is 73. when we were doing like Vinegar Joe, Steve Ellis's Zoot Money, Heavy Metal Kids. We would be a different band every night.
Is that the
Heavy Metal
Mercedes
Kids?
truck we're walking to?
We were walking towards Richmond Park, and you see the entrance gates.
Yeah, but what is that the trail the Mercedes used to have?
That's not it in this picture, no.
No, no.
But we did have the Mercedes band at that time, yeah.
Oops. Hang on.
Yeah, that's when I had my clip-on shades onto my glasses. I looked like a fucking
Right.
angel.
Right.
John Lennon look.
Well, he was more like Harry Biker look than Lennon.
So this is, as Mark says, is this the Torquay Town Hall? Is that
That looks like it. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a fucking prison.
It's very brutalist. It's very
It's
brutalist.
still there. It's still
Yeah,
there.
good time.
It's that abandoned hope, all ye who enter above the door.
Yeah, it was just a big open ballroom, very echoey, sort of. I don't know when the hell it was built, but it's part of the town hall, so it's probably built in the last century.
I think we got to find a nicer picture than that. Hang on.
Get the picture of the interior.
But when I was a teenager, sort of like getting into music and stuff, that was the place where Lionel Digby, a promoter who I still know now, he used to put on all the bands coming down. I mean, you couldn't get anything down in Torquay, back in those days. But he had Floyd there. He had early Fleetwood Mac.
Hang on.
All those bands from that time were playing there. All the rock bands. The things like the Beatles and the other bands like that. They were all playing the Princess Theatre, but this is more of a rock venue.
Right.
So here's a poster, for instance, of the Who.
Mick Fleetwood at the bar, and he was like twice as tall as I was.
There you go.
Lovely though. It was
Town
So-
hall.
there
Okay.
you go.
The Who.
Yeah.
Trendsetters. And the Telstars.
But Lionel Digby, the promoter there, he's still going now. I think he's 89, and he's still
Wow.
doing radio shows, and he does a lot of fundraising now.
But
And he
was
put-
there another gig, Mark? Was there another like smaller, less formal gig? Because I think we used to
There
do
was in Plymouth. There was the
the
Van
Van
Dyke
Dyke.
Club.
We did the Van Dyke in
Van
Plymouth.
Dyke Club, yeah, in Plymouth. I saw Jethro Tull there.
But wasn't there another gig in Torquay? Like
The 400 Ballroom.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
The Pavilion, I think, was a gig for a while, but that was after I'd left town.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to do a gig in Penzance pre-motorway times. I mean, you took all day to get there.
Here's
Yeah.
another good one.
it was a long way from Torquay as well. But yeah, we used to.
Marquee, very clever.
Yeah, we used to,
Marquee Club. Coliseum and free.
yeah. Where was that? Torquay Town Hall?
Yeah, Torquay. Marquee Club. Marquee Club.
Yeah. It
They
was
like very
Monroe's
clever. Marquee Club.
Well, we did gigs that we did a gig in the Key Club with the Engine when we first moved to London. So that's probably the same place.
Well, it says Marquee Club, Torquay Town
But
Hall.
we did a gig at,
play on Torquay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
was there a place called the Key Club, Wilco? I sent Mark. I thought I should remember we did a gig down in Torquay and Exeter when we first started out.
Oh, the Key Club in Exeter. Yeah, that exists or did.
Okay. I thought we were.
Here's another one.
I mean, we used to sneak in there. We didn't have any money and stuff. But I mean, you'd go and see, Fleetwood Mac for like 2 and 6 or something.
Cashing in on the psychedelic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Middle
Middle
Earth.
Earth. Yeah.
It was really, forward thinking at that time because Torquay was way off the fucking beaten track. Everyone
Oh,
was
yeah. I know.
sort of like tractors and stuff. It wasn't. It's a bit more cosmopolitan than that, but we didn't. It wasn't as violent as Hartlepool. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Probably not. It was more quaint, I guess. Little holiday town.
Yeah, but
Torquay is-
this wasn't for the holiday makers. This was for local.
No,
rockers.
but yeah, but that was the great thing about those days. The scenes were everywhere. Now it's all because of the internet and everything's ubiquitous. Then every area.
There was Love-Ins on Dartmoor and Haytor and stuff like
Sure
that.
there was.
But I mean, yeah, it was 1967, and right through that period.
Oh,
Great
here's a-
period. Great
All
period.
right, here's a good one. I'll just
Couldn't
show
wait
one
to
more.
get out of there.
I'll show you one more from these. There you go. Rory Gallagher.
See,
God
there you go.
bless.
Can
God
he
bless him.
all the way from America?
Yeah, Lindisfarne supporting.
Yeah.
Well, it's they're from up north.
Well, man, Newcastle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why? I've seen
Yeah,
them
so
live. Great
we
band.
We're getting a few.
Edgar Broughton.
Yeah, we did
Okay.
gigs with Lindisfarne because Lindisfarne were on Charisma, as were Vandergraph, Generator, and Genesis, and the Audience. We would do like mini package tours, and they would be on as well.
Yeah.
Lindisfarne. Yeah.
You know, I met them at the Speakeasy, and I used to hang out with a drummer. I can't remember his name, but I hung out with a drummer for a long time. Just kept, going there.
Well done, Brian.
Oh,
Well done,
What's
seeing
that?
that Torquay stuff. It's, yeah.
Google is amazing. You can find him.
Brilliant.
But yeah, with the drummer, what's the drummer's name from Lindisfarne? Oh God, I'll have to look it up. But I did see them live a couple of times. Wonderful band. Winter Song. That's a great song. If you know that
You
one.
know way more than we do about this stuff, Brian. We were too busy getting hammered.
Well, I was hammered when I saw them.
Yeah. You know, there was another drummer from Newcastle with
It was
Rick Kenton, Roxy Music.
Ray Laidlaw. Laidlaw. Sorry,
He
Ray
was always-
Laidlaw.
We always saw him in the Speakeasy.
Ray Laidlaw was the drummer.
Ray Laidlaw. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Newcastle's got a bit of a scene. I had quite a good
Oh,
music.
Newcastle had a ton of stuff going on.
Fantastic, yeah.
Newcastle, that's the proper pronunciation.
Newcastle.
You know, I think I did more gigs in England with the Tremolos than any band I was ever with.
Mm.
I mean,
These
they were-
Tremolos.
there you go. There you go.
Town
Brian
Hall.
Paul wasn't with them at the time.
No,
Torquay
you
again.
But look, the Kinks, the Who coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Torquay was happening.
it was.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at the ticket prices, I've seen some tickets. It's just, 2 and 6 for £5 was way over the top.
Oh, yeah.
5
2 and
bob,
6.
brother. 5
This
bob.
one says 7 shillings.
This is 7 shillings. Well, there you go.
There it is.
So,
Yes, 7 bob.
I think
That's
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
money when you
reasonable.
think a pint costs tuppence.
yeah. Well, but you're seeing the Who or the Kinks
Yeah.
or the Tremolos.
Well, they had to charge that much money to mend all the gear.
So for
And
those who don't
hopefully-
know what a shilling was, who's going to tell our North American
Oh.
friends? I'm in Canada, but I know.
Well, a
so I'm
pound at-
old enough.
A pound had 240 pence. And of that, there was 12 shillings in a pound. And then you had sixpences, threepenny pieces, halfpennies, tuppenny pieces, pennies, halfpennies,
Big pennies.
farthings, plus
Big pennies.
crowns, half crowns. I mean, it was ridiculous. A pocket full of money, you needed like a haversack to carry all
You
the
need to
coins.
have a set to carry it.
Yeah.
How many shillings
Very
were?
good.
How many shillings to the lira when you had to travel to
Oh,
Europe?
God.
Well, I came back from Italy.
Yeah, yeah.
I came back from Italy with Vandergraph with like a big plastic paper bag full of money, about 10 million lira or something.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm old enough to remember the old money, and when they changed and they had all these TV shows
too.
about how the new money and then the old stuff kind of lingered for a little while, and then they started phasing them out. But yeah, those big pennies were great.
Yeah.
Really hurt someone if you threw them.
Yeah.
You could really hurt somebody.
Yeah, but the money was interesting. When we were first touring Europe, you'd leave England with the English money, and 20 miles later, you got to have French money or Belgian or Dutch. Then you go into Germany. And then France, at one time, France had paper money. You could wrap a sandwich up in it. It was huge. Remember?
That's right.
Huge banknotes. You could, and then you go to Italy where there's 1,500 lira to the, or 2,000 lira to the pound. And then you come off the autostrada and there was no coins small enough for change. So they give you sweets.
That
So you
was
2,000 lira and it was only 1,750.
yeah. The old francs.
Royal sweet. Thanks.
The old francs. They revalued them at one point, but I remember the big
Yeah.
denominations for francs.
It
Yeah.
was fabulous. It was much more interesting than now with the boring old euro, even though they have euro coins, country specific. I guess they have to gather them up and return them to it's a whole industry, isn't it?
I've still got some collections of old pennies, British pennies and stuff, the big ones,
I've got
specific
some,
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Threepenny bits.
Drop me bits.
Lovely, she had a lovely pair of threepenny bits. Yeah.
Yeah, right. What a set of threepenny bits. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind them full of threepenny bits.
Yeah.
I think there's a penny with a lighthouse on it. Went there with a little bit more for collectors.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
on,
there's a little lighthouse in the right corner.
that's
Who's
numismatism.
this?
Numismatism. That's it.
That's an happy fool.
Isn't that illegal?
That's in the Causeway.
Yeah, that's Cameron's beer.
Brewery is about 100 yards from there, so I think it comes straight in pipes from the casks into the pub.
Yeah.
Look at
Nice.
That's
that.
awesome.
Look at
like a bit
head.
of head with your beer then.
He does like a bit of head.
You dip your face right in it. There we
Tell us
go.
about this one. Tell us about this one, Granny.
This is
that
in
great,
McLeese
Mason?
Road. We had this house, and we all lived in one house in McLeese Road. And the guy in the white with a pink umbrella, that's Tat. He was a local lad. He's never a roadie, but he was on our scene. He was a great bloke. He ended up being a journalist in Middlesbrough, sports journalist. But he was tagging along. He'd come on gigs. He was great fun. Bit of a stoner. It was fantastic. And that's me in the middle. And that's Sig, Sig was he never left school. He went from school to college to training college, and he put off getting a real job for decades. But he's got this light between his eyes. You can see it.
I saw that, yeah.
You know what? I've still got that friggin' thing. What that is, it's a thing you clip on your spectacles, and it's got a wire attached to a battery in your pocket, and you flick it. It's for reading maps at night. Being a professional roadie, I was like, I'm going to need to read maps.
Didn't you just use your GPS?
Oh yeah, right. But please, I've still got it. It still works. And I used to wear it on top of my glasses, and we go in the Marquee, and I'd be shining a light down some chick's cleavage. Somebody'd be drinking a beer, and I'd flash the light in it, and then they'd look, and I'd switch it off.
The reason I wanted to show these is this one here.
Oh, the old tranny.
Oh, there you go.
Who's this? Who's this?
No, this is something I got from a website. It's a left-hand. It's a European one, left-hand drive look. I think it was just a website I went on to get some pictures of trannies for my archive.
Yeah, it's a long wheelbase.
Yeah, six-wheeler.
Yeah, you're always searching for trannies online. I know.
Right, different kind of trannies these days.
So this is what
a lot of money this day and age. A lot of money.
But you would have used this to tour Europe then.
Oh yeah, we had them. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful looking van. I mean, that front end. Oh, I mean, it gives me the horn.
They drove like a car. When they came out, they were the first vans that actually drove a bit like a car. You know, steering wheel that way rather than that. They were fast. They just made the whole change. You know, they were that was it. And the two-wheeler one, the six-wheeler was the to have.
I mean, every band in the '60s had one of them, I think.
Yeah,
I learned to drive on a tranny. It was a short wheelbase one, a yellow one.
That's our four-wheel tranny. All the damage in the front.
Yeah,
that's on the left. That's John Kerr. He owned the van. He was kind of a roadie tour manager. Mal in the hat, and that's me with the hair. And we were coming. This is over by the railway embankment to the golf club. Anyway, we were coming back from a gig in South Shields, and we hit some roadworks, and a scaffolding pole went right through the headlight and came up at an angle into the vehicle. It almost got stuck in my gut. It would have got another 2 feet. I wouldn't have been here. So that was like we were driving to gigs with a battered up old van. Oh yeah, we have accidents.
There's no headlight there on the.
It went right through the headlight and came in towards the passenger section.
We've got absolutely no idea what band this was. Never heard of them.
The engine.
Oh, this is the engine.
Now, of course, I would have been. I had an old boiler on my lap, so she might have got the scaffold and pole before me.
It wasn't Gnidrolog then, whoever they were.
No, Gnidrolog. Yeah, we had a 6-wheel tranny with Gnidrolog. That's Vandergraph's 4-wheel boxed van.
Look at that.
On the way back from Italy. That's Switzerland, I think.
That is incredible. It must have been fun.
I took pictures of the van. I didn't take pictures of the band.
Yeah, no pictures of the band on stage, just the van.
Like that.
Like that shit, yeah. So there's
this is in Italy.
It's the offstage antics that keep you going.
This picture was taken by a fan. That's Mal in the background holding up the shutters on the van. We had to lock the band in the van because there was a little mini riot. Somebody tried to grab the sax player's horn and he hit them on the head with it. And there was a little mini riot. We locked the band in the van for a bit till things cooled down. And this was taken by, that's me with the long hair. This was taken by a fan. And next time he went, he says, fantastic. So we were like fighting off.
This was the Vandergraph. This is Vandergraph generator we're talking about.
Very unusual band, yeah.
Well, I've got some of their stuff. I've got this. I've got Pawn Hearts. Everybody should own this album. It's a great album.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah. But those were the days. Those are the days.
I had no idea what I was setting up. I had no clue what I was setting up.
Pieces.
Yeah. Equipment-wise, I had no idea. I would just stand it up, plug it in, hope it worked. Somebody bought me a DVD, about 10 years ago, and it's a concert that I was working on in Paris at the Bataclan. And I go, oh, that's what it was. It was a big folded horn. He had 2 big bass cabinets on stage with his organ, and he had a digital this to recreate the sound of a Leslie and echo units. And I'm going, that's what I was setting up. At the time, I didn't know.
Now, I'd like to say hello to our friend Courtney, and she's giving the game away here. She says she would love in that. Well, Courtney, we all know
Michael Springer. And Michael Springer. Hey, Michael.
Lots of people probably did love in that van, but
right.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. Live. Oh, well, there we go. Sorry. But nice to see you. Nice to see Michael as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Look
joining
at those
us.
handsome poses.
Yeah. So anyway, that's handsome poses.
I could talk for hours about that period, this early 70s, mid 70s. It was just every day was something new, whether it was equipment or a new venue, a new country, everything about it was just expanding. Record companies. It was fascinating. Loved it.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, we've got lots of shows we've done in the past where we talked about that, and we'll talk about it again in the future. Yeah. But you've got stuff like you went to Berlin during the Cold War.
Berlin, yeah. I went through Checkpoint Charlie.
yeah.
You never do that? You never go through?
In Germany, it was because Berlin was actually surrounded by West Germany. Oh, sorry.
East.
Yeah. East Germany.
Berlin was cut in sections, and it was surrounded by East Germany.
Yeah, and you had to drive through the corridor, and you couldn't leave the road. And there was gun turrets on all the way down the highway.
Yeah, but did you ever go through Checkpoint Charlie into East Berlin?
I don't think we actually went into East Berlin.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking for you did send me some photographs. I'm just looking for them now.
I didn't want to take a lot of pictures because I felt like this is weird. These people can't leave, and we're snapping pictures. So I was actually being a little bit conscientious. It was fascinating.
I noticed one road when we went down there, and you can still see the bullet holes in the streets and stuff.
Well,
that was in the 70s.
As I said, I took pictures going through the countryside. We went off the motorway somehow. I don't know how the hell we ended up going through these little villages with all these recruitment signs for the Soviet army.
There you go.
Hammer and sickle. Everybody's shutting their pants. Granny, don't take pictures because there's all tanks on the left-hand side. There's like a field full of tanks, and I'm taking pictures. There we go.
Berlin was brilliant. I loved it.
Actually, it looks like Hartlepool.
That's right.
It looks like Ukraine.
Yeah, it's but the mud. I love the mud. I mean, this. You can see you went off the motorway or whatever. Yeah. This is what you ended up in.
Yeah, our state, we will protect it. I think that's something like that.
Yeah,
our state. But yeah, there's the thing. The train, there's a steam locomotive pulling that. So that's when I was taking the pictures. People are freaking out. Yeah. See the girl in the car behind. She's looking up at us. We're a bunch of hairy fuckers.
Well, you said it's okay. I'm a train spotter.
Yeah. I used to give them I used to give them T-shirts all the time. Right. And they would walk up to the van with the machine guns and go, rock and roll band. Go, yeah, and just automatically give them a couple of T-shirts. And go, okay, off you go.
And that's for those out there if you're watching this live or in the replay later. These are the experiences that Rowdies went through in the 70s.
And 80s, and into the 80s. I don't want to just go on about the 80s. But yeah, we're from Hartlepool. Mark's from Torquay, and probably never entered our minds that we would do any of this. That's what was amazing about it.
It was a way to travel the world and see all these exciting things or different interesting things without... it was not a way you would think of when you were at school. Oh, I'll become a roadie and see the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I packed my job in. My dad was horrified. Oh, son, you got to get a job with a pension. Well, I mean, they don't exist anymore.
I wish I had
you're throwing your life away, son. You'll be throwing you. Okay.
I wish I had got a job with a pension.
Yeah, but that was Wilco. You did all the can stuff later on.
Yeah, but it's like, the first tour I did is 73 in Europe, or maybe late 72 with the Average White Band. No, I'm sorry. I did it with the Tremolos, and sometimes the customs, they would just open the back and go, get me that case. And you go, but it's right at the back. It's got 10 guitars and amps on it. I want to look at that amp. So you bring out the whole case and then go, okay, take the back off. What? And those screw drivers.
Yeah. I've still got one. course.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Then you just look at it and go, oh, so those are speakers. And we're like, I go, okay, go on your way.
They didn't know what
I
they
mean,
were looking
just to
for.
be,
They were looking for £3 million in cash.
they were looking
know,
for, yeah, exactly.
It's got full
You're
circle
looking
now.
for that 3 million.
But you know,
Yeah.
you get in like places like Belgium. If you were going off the autobahn, off the main highways, you'd be in like some village where there'd be a customs post in the middle of town. You couldn't go past it, but all the school kids and all the people are biking to and fro from one, because Belgium was on one side of the post and France on the other, and you couldn't go until the bloke came back from his lunch. And you know, then we realized he would come back quicker if we had a carton of cigarettes. You know, like it was just you'd be sitting there like, well, shall we just ignore it? That was your thinking. Yeah, what are they going to do? We're with a band. What do we know?
If you think about it, it's only 25 years on from the end of the war, so things were different.
Yeah,
It was different.
it's not that different now, to be honest. In some things, because obviously with Brexit, you still need to have the carnet and stuff to get into Europe.
Well, you're going to have this all to come, aren't you?
And we went down through. You don't need a separate thing for Switzerland. But we got to the Swiss border and there was no one there. We got a gig that night. And you know, they were just like there's a bridge and a little post, you know, with a flag outside and no one there, you know. So we just went through. And the next day, coming back, we had to sort of like try and find a way without having to stop and explain why we didn't get the carnet stamp going into Switzerland, you know. It's still very, you know, and the further east you get, I'm sure, you know, it gets worse. You know, and at least
well, you know, back to the Average White Bands Fest tour, that's what happened with us. I mean, I did all the driving until the last 5 hours, and Steve Misarski, Bruce's brother, drove. Same thing. We got the truck on the ferry, and I'm just sitting there and goes, "Will the driver of the blue truck please come up?" And Bruce knew it. He just gave me the carnet with, I think, about 10 quid. We had no money. We just did 3 gigs in one day in 3 different countries. And I took it up and I had to drive 40 miles at 5 miles an hour because there was hardly any diesel. And that's what it was. They didn't get the carnet stamped it, just did a complete U-turn and just made it back. Got into England, got a couple of gallons of diesel and a couple of pints, and that was it. And I went, I think I met you all at the Speakeasy that night.
It would have been straight to the pub or the Speakeasy.
Yeah,
My first tour in charge in 1972, we did several short trips abroad, and this guy Roger Gus was his nickname. He was in charge, and he got injured, and all of a sudden I was sort of in charge, and I started screwing things up right from the beginning, just learning as we were going. And one of the first things was we drove to the Dover to the port, and we're there ready to do all the paperwork. And at the times there was currency restrictions. You can only take 30 quid in cash out the country. So the official says, on a tour, yep, you're carrying any cash? Yep. How much you got? 300 quid. He says, do you realize we've got currency restrictions and you can only take 30? And I could arrest you, impound the equipment, and cancel the whole tour. I'll ask you again, are you carrying any cash and how much? You go, 30 quid? He goes, have a good tour. He could have shit on us right there.
That's literally it's a ridiculous thing to be. But one thing that we all had to go through, and I'm sure we've all got great memories of, is taking the ferry across the channel.
Yeah.
You know, the vomit comet.
I used to go on. I hated that. I dreaded going on that Townsend Torresen ferry. Oh God!
As soon as it cleared the breakwater, the boat would start to go, and people immediately start puking.
Oh yeah, I was up puking.
I never had any problems.
I was like, please.
I never had a problem until someone starts puking, and then you smell it, and then it's sort of like it's catchy. You know?
Yeah.
Oh
well,
man!
You know, the first time I went to Scandinavia with Vinegar Joe, which was in '72.
In winter.
Yeah, in winter. It was 6 hours coming back, and everybody's coming off the ferry puking and everything. And of course, I'm going pussies and everything else. So we everybody goes straight to the cabin, and me and the other guys are in the front of the bow of the boat. First pint went down, no problem. Second pint, we're looking at it. We look outside, and the boat went. And we're all like, what? And it just came down like boom. The ocean hit the front door. We puked all the way. It was unbelievable. Went straight to our cabin. Pete Roger, Dave, Vicky, and Wilco.
The glamour of rock and roll.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
then,
off.
then we had a 7-hour drive to the first gig after that.
Nightmare. Imagine going in the winter. But yeah, we'll talk about that next time because unfortunately we're almost at the top of the hour and I do have to wrap up, unfortunately. But there's lots more stories for the next
Where
time.
does the time go?
Who knows?
Brian, just let us
where
know
the
when
time
next
goes.
time when you want us.
You for a song, Brian?
Well,
Who knows where the
time goes?
I know you would
Couple
know
of
it.
weeks- I know. I'll do that. A couple of yes, great song. A couple of weeks from now, we'll do another one for sure.
Yeah.
Same time slot. I hope.
Great.
I'd like to thank everyone in the chat and obviously, click that thumbs up button and share this out and do all those great YouTube things. Subscribe, put the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live next time.
Watch the
And for
replay.
those watching on the replay, thank you for watching. Again, subscribe if you like what you see. There's hundreds of other videos on the channel. Tons of great content.
Same quality, unfortunately. Same quality.
Also, spare a thought from me and go and subscribe to that 70s rock fan.
There you go.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day to you. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing these great stories with us. Love you, brothers. Been real. And thank you, everyone in the chat. Have a great day, everyone. And I will see you again.
Granny, I want to talk to you. I'll give you a call.
I'm going to hit that button if I can find it. Oh, there it is. The outro and end stream.